So I was born in a simple Agrawal family in Delhi. Later I went to study my engineering to Uttar Pradesh, Ghaziabad. Interestingly, my college name is Krishna Institute of Engineering and Technology. So that's how my connections were always never lost with Krishna. Was yes, like everyone, I was also trying to chase the highs in this world. And later I went for my MBA to be amongst everyone. I started going for partying, outing, and a lot of party culture I was part of. But I think Krishna had some other plans, and I was still exploring spirituality. And then later I joined a training which was inside temple. After the end of the training, it was proposed that we can try out a training, we can take a sabbatical and try a 1 year full-time monk training. How the experience of serving in the temple full-time. I took a break from the work in 2012, and I'm still continuing. I have not gone back to the corporate world, and it's been now 12 years that I am serving in the monastery. Where I remember when I informed my family, so in my family were Agrawals, so everyone would get married very early, and I am the eldest among 3 brothers, so waiting for me when will I agree. And I was already connected to ISKCON. I had plans to join the monastery full time. Finally they had to get my younger brother married, and I know it was, my mother was so heartbroken and they were so embarrassed why the elder son is not married. Actually a couple of years after that, my father got a heart attack. I remember feeling very lost, connected with the world. A lot of time I faced inability to cope up with the corporate dealings, and I felt like, what will happen? I had these questions, what will happen, what happens after death. So now I see a lot of clarity, and I have aspirations which allow me to go beyond my limits. Hare Krishna. My name is Manish Goyal, now Madhu Madhav Das. So I was born in a simple Agrawal family in Delhi, Radhesham Goyal and Indu Goyal. My father was a businessman, and I have 2 younger brothers, and I did my schooling in Delhi. And my connection with Krishna started, I think, very early. I remember my father would take me every month for Govardhan Parikrama. And I still remember 1994, when after the parikrama, we went on the day of Govardhan Puja, next day of Diwali. My father took me to ISKCON Vrindavan. And that experience is very memorable. Entering that white, clean temple, I saw these monks dancing. And I remember as young Manish, I had a desire, I wish I could be part of this community, I could be amongst them. And so that's how my connection with Krishna was there. Krishna was like a friend, a companion. My room was always filled with posters of Krishna. And my parents, we all loved Krishna. None of us ever had a question that he is not God. So he was very integrated part of our lives. Later I went to study my engineering to Uttar Pradesh, Ghaziabad. Interestingly, my college name is Krishna Institute of Engineering and Technology. So there was some connection to Krishna, was always there. He was on my walls, he was there in my neck. It was the name of my college. He was always desktop, the wallpaper of my computer, my laptop. So that's how my connections were always never lost with Krishna. Was yes, like everyone, I was also trying to chase the highs in this world. And later I went for my MBA. That's where I say probably I drifted a little bit from a lot of values and principles I practiced. To be amongst everyone, I started going for partying, outing, and a lot of party culture I was part of. But I think Krishna had some other plans. and I was still exploring spirituality. During my MBA, I went for Vipassana, this 10-day program where you have to be silent. It was kind of very, it healed me a lot. Even I was connected with art of living for some time. Until one of the Janmashtami in 2008, one of my classmates who was also my colleague, Ashish Dang, I still remember him. We were colleagues with a company called Future Group. He said, "Oh, I wanted to go on Janmashtami to ISKCON temple," and he said, "Oh, there is one very close by, near 5 minutes away from our office." And I went to this temple, and again I was coming out, I enrolled for a program called Journey of Self-Discovery. And I think my journey of self-discovery started with that. I attended the program, then I started going for the Sunday love feast, and my visits to the temple increased, and I think then they just continued. But my very serious connection came when I saw a poster for a writing workshop. Incidentally, I was doing a course in creative writing then, and I thought, okay, why not do this devotional writing course also? And I approached the facilitator for the course, Murari Gupta Das, who later became my very close friend. And I met him and he said, "Since you are doing a course in creative writing, you are not attending the course, you are teaching the course with me." So we became co-facilitators, and I think it was with his friendship that my connection became stronger. And I started chanting, coming to the temple more often, and then I shifted to a facility called Base, where the devotee boys, unmarried boys who are working, they share a common place which is like a temple but outside temple, and they practice their devotional service. That's how my connection grew with Krishna. And then later I joined a training which was inside temple. After the end of the training, it was proposed that we can try out a training, we can take a sabbatical and try a 1 year full-time monk training, how the experience of serving in the temple full-time. I took a break from the work in 2012, and I'm still continuing. I have not gone back to the corporate world, and it's been now 12 years that I am serving in the monastery, and I hope that I'll be able to continue with the support of devotees and the books, and by the blessings of Krishna. Well, I remember when I informed my family. So in my family, we are Agrawals, so they everyone would get married very early, and I am the eldest among 3 brothers. So we're waiting for me, when will I agree, and I was already connected to ISKCON. I had plans to join the monastery full time. Finally, they had to get my younger brother married, and I know it was, my mother was so heartbroken, and they were so embarrassed why the elder son is not married. Actually, a couple of years after that, my father got a heart attack. I just resigned, and I decided to be with my father for like couple of months, and I stayed with him for a couple of months, then 1 more month, and after 3 months, when I was leaving my home, I informed my parents. I remember my mother cried, my father said, "Return all my money that I have spent on your education." It wasn't out of anger, it was, I'm sure it's because of the love, and also they have nurtured a lot of dreams around the son. But then it was very easy, they accepted it. My mother was very happy, my brothers were happy, they supported me. Because they supported me, I could come here, because they're taking care of my parents very lovingly. My father passed away last year, my mother is still with my brother, and I do visit them, and we have very cordial and loving relations. So that's how it's said. I did have had a goal in my life. I remember when filling all my MBA forms, I would feel that I want to start a school. I also named the school School of Transformation. And recently, as I was thinking, I'm part of that school. I'm studying as well as teaching. I have a lot of opportunities where I am able to introduce people to this path, and also every day I have an opportunity to grow as a student. So only in one way the goal hasn't changed, to start that school. Actually, the school was already there. I joined that school. Yet, there is now a bigger purpose, more clarity in where I'm heading. That's what is very important. Otherwise, I remember feeling very lost, disconnected with the world. A lot of time I faced inability to cope up with, the corporate dealings, and I felt like, what will happen? I had these questions, what will happen? What happens after death? So now I see a lot of clarity, and I have aspirations which allow me to go beyond my limits. Also, a lot of opportunity to contribute for the welfare of people in general while engaging in my personal welfare. So even during my MBA, I was very interested either in going to education. I used to teach at a school called Muktangan at weekends, and I was also interested in joining the field of microfinance, where I help the people at the lower strata of society to become better situated in life. So I was inclined, and I think I'm able to do it here in a bigger way here, because when we help people to find a purpose in life, when we help people to realize who the self is, what the self is, then with that understanding they can take care of their lives in a better way. So I feel my life is more meaningful at this point in my life. So there is a very interesting concept that one of our previous teachers has shared with us. It talks about three things: Namaruchi, Vaishnava Seva and Jeev Daya. They translate into three aspects of our life. Not only a spiritualist, but anybody in this world who is actually trying to grow these aspects. First is the contentment they experience. Second is the commitment they have with themselves, their families and with the world. And third is the compassion towards the world. So we see everyone is looking for happiness. Everybody wants to experience deeper satisfaction, content in their hearts, which in one way I was not experiencing in my life. And actually I was searching. That's why I was like a spiritual shopper, a spiritual monger. I was going here, there, everywhere. It was after I was so regular at ISKCON, I discovered those books which I bought in 1994 in the Pragati Maidan book fair in Delhi. I think that's the biggest book fair in the world. That was Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, Science of Self-Realization and Easy Journey to Other Planet. These books I remember even going to the book fair, I would pick up all the spiritual books. So we are all looking for being satisfied, being content. Second aspect is, and in our spiritual lives, this is the aspect of Namaruchi. That means our core spiritual practice of chanting, reading, chanting the holy name, reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. So in our lives as monks, our morning the mornings, so we wake up around 4 a.m. and 4:30 a.m. start with Mangalarti, then chanting our rounds, then attending Srimad Bhagavatam. They are the core practices. If we participate in them, they increase our content, they increase our satisfaction, we become more self-satisfied. So the second aspect is of commitment. In our lives, we are committed to so many people. We are committed to our families, our children, our grandparents, our relatives, our colleagues, our company, our society. There are so many commitments, and we want to be more committed and experience depth in them. So this is the aspect of Vaishnava Seva. Even here, we want to serve our spiritual master, our guru. We want to serve other devotees. So there is an aspect. So in our lives as monks, every day, there is this the middle part of the day where we contribute actively in service in our community. Like here I take care of our well-wisher care department, I take care of a gift shop in our Gaushala. I do some training for guests and visitors, like I'm doing for a company, and so far I've done a training batch for around 1,000 employees of them. Today I did I think the 40th batch with them. So there is an aspect of service. So I'm doing this service for them because they are helping us in a lot of ways in our rural outreach. And third aspect which we all also practice in our lives is the aspect of compassion. When it comes to compassion, it actually goes beyond our families. It's an aspect where you share that something that belongs to you with people. This involves an element of sacrifice, giving away something that is very valued for you others. It's in terms of time, whether in terms of money. So people do charity, people go do volunteering. Here we also do aspect that is called a Jivada, where we take this message of Krishna to other people. So even I go on weekends to city, I do programs, teach Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Even at Eco Village, a lot of visitors come, I give them tour, I talk to them about Krishna, I share the message of Krishna in terms of Kirtan and Bhagavatam. The reason even why I joined, because I also wanted to grow these aspects in my life, and I'm experiencing depth in all three areas. It's content, commitment and compassion. So spirituality, self-realization, they like kind of become common household words, but where does it start? Self-realization, self-enlightenment. So it begins with understanding what the self is not. That's very important. All these advertisements that we see, they are, if you know the biggest genre of advertisements about food. It's about clothing, it's about cosmetics, it's about our body. We all have seen a dead body, and when we see a dead body, we say, the so and so person is left, this is his body. But we forget in our case that okay, this is also our body and we are different from it. So most of the offerings in the world are for the body, and there is no problem with that. We have to take care of the body, but we don't have to take care only of the body. We have to take care. The second level of our existence is our subtle body, which constitutes of mind, intelligence and ego. Even I think in terms of body, we are not careful. We dump anything in our bodies. Similarly, we feed whatever. We see a lot of things which do not support our mind, intelligence. But still, that's also our body. So there is this physical body, the subtle body, and the third aspect is soul, which is the self. Now the beginning of spiritual life begins with realizing of that aspect, that this is not the self, this belongs to the self. This is my mind, it's my body, so which I address as I am different from that. And even this is the first teaching we teach in the Vaishnava cult, in ISKCON, that you are not this body, you are soul. And I remember I knew that, but I hadn't realized that. I'm still on process of realizing, but it struck me one day in 2013 when one of our teachers were teaching us Gita chapter 13. And in the discussion when he shared this, he gave an example. When somebody says, hey, you are fat, you are ugly, he's addressing to your body, not to you, because he doesn't know you. And though I had heard it in that moment, there was an epiphany when I realized that knowledge became wisdom, that became a realization, I'm different from that, what I always believed I am. So that's where, and when we realize, okay, who I am not, then the process of who I am, when you work toward realizing that, that's what is spiritual life. So like you need a thermometer to measure the temperature, you need a measuring tape to know the dimension of an object. Similarly, the spiritual practice is to realize what the self is. And our core practice is chanting the holy names of the Lord, and reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So our perspective in body is also not that, okay, I am not this body, doesn't mean I don't take care of body. Yeah, I've been a bit neglectful of my body, but our idea of body is that body is the altar, is the mandir of Krishna. Because Krishna lives here, he is there situated in this body. That's why even we decorate our body with marks of Krishna. Because this body is very essential for bhakti. Because if I did not have this body, I would not have been able to offer any service to Krishna. Now because I have this body, I am able to dress Krishna, I am able to sing for Krishna, I am able to share the message of Krishna, I am able to write about Krishna, I am able to speak about Krishna, I am able to contribute in millions of ways to serve Krishna, and which are not possible if this body is not taken care. Imagine if I have an ailing body, unhealthy body, how will I do any of these? With an unhealthy body and unhealthy mind, I cannot chant Krishna's name with love and concentration. I cannot do any service with proper attention. So that's our idea of body. So we have to take care of this body, we have to take care of our mind so that we can serve Krishna and his devotees. Interestingly, Bhagavad Gita opens with the shloka which is spoken by Dhritarashtra. And that shloka presents a very interesting aspect. He is actually asking Sanjay about what are his sons and Pandavas doing at the battlefield of Mahabharata. He knew they are there to fight. Still he is asking because he knew they are going to lose. Dhritarashtra's lives have been very interesting. He had everything a person would imagine he or she should have in their lives except eyes. But he spent all his life being remorsing for what he didn't have. So he was, though born physically blind, he became spiritually blind also. So first thing that that Bhagavad Gita opens with is being grateful for whatever you have and not wasting your life for what you do not have. So being grateful and enjoying whatever you have in your life makes it beautiful. Also, if you see Bhagavad Gita, or for that matter any of other scriptures, you will see they are in the form of question and answers. Now here Arjuna is presenting his questions to Krishna and Krishna is answering them. And he also specifies why he is answering questions of Arjuna, because Arjun, he says, he is a devotee of Krishna and he is a friend of Krishna. So it's very important to present the questions in the right mood, and they can actually bring to you wonderful answers to make your life so meaningful. So Arjuna asked these 5 questions which actually became the reason for all of us to have this wonderful wisdom of Bhagavad Gita. So we should have questions, also keep questioning. I am sure life will present you with wonderful answers. So Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, 14, they are my favorites. The 13th chapter presents a very interesting section which talks about the 20 items of knowledge. So we are chasing lot of things, lot of knowledge, it becomes outdated, and the amount of knowledge we have been bombarded with is becoming humongous. Recent Sunday edition of New York Times presents you with so much information and data that the entire 19th century books will together present. So in amongst so much information, you are going to go for engineering, medicine, and now so much venues are open. Which is the right knowledge that you have to cultivate, and Bhagavad Gita presents. It starts with cultivating humility, tolerance, pridelessness, finding the appropriate teacher. So these values which are useful at every moment in every day of your life. So what is the right knowledge that we have to always keep in our perspective to cultivate is also shared by Bhagavad Gita. Often people have this idea that taking a spiritual life means giving up everything, not having anything, or they see us like, oh, like, what do you enjoy in life? But actually spiritual life is all about abundance, cultivating the abundance mindset. It's not about scarcity. Even in Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, Krishna is telling about how he is best of the best amongst everything. He is telling out among trees I am the banyan tree, among animals I am the tiger. He's saying I am the ability in the man. So he's not talking about the poor. He's talking about how he's the best in everything. So when we come in connection with Krishna, we are able to elevate ourselves to that level that we become wonderful and able to offer ourselves in the best way to Krishna and to the world that is belongs to him. So taking up spiritual life doesn't mean that you give up your ambitions, aspirations, because people confuse that being content, being grateful for what you have. So it has nothing to give up with your aspirations and dreams and aspirations. All you can do is go towards them while offering them as a gift to Krishna and to the world. So cultivating abundance and practicing spirituality goes hand in hand. Better late than never. So you please take up your spiritual life very seriously now. I am sure you choose your food very wisely. I am sure you take care of what goes inside your mouth that nourishes you, that takes care of you. So you have to choose your media also very carefully. So if you want to listen to more stories that can enlighten you, nourish you, subscribe to this channel, Wake Up and Shine, and add lot of meaning and nourishment to your life.